Good evening. Tonight I'm going to make a presentation on a topic on culture shock. People have been asking me what should I do when I'm experiencing culture shock, and this is really bothering me, and it is really difficult. It seems to be very difficult to get through it. And tonight I'm trying to give you some glimpses on what culture shock is, and also provide some insights from my past 4 year study abroad experience, and some advice to you. So hopefully it's gonna help. So we all know culture shock, and but we don't know exactly what does culture shock mean. And I think people have different explanations. But now I'm gonna give you a standard definition of what culture shock is, and it's provided by Merriam-Webster, the dictionary. So culture shock is described as a feeling of confusion, doubt, nervousness caused by being in a place, such as a foreign country, that is very different from what you are used to. So it's basically, a place where you have never been to or have very little idea of, and you're trying to live there and you try to study in there, and suddenly you feel uncomfortable because you're far away from the settings, the people, the connections you have used to have. So this is particularly difficult for some people. So here, the people will ask, and this it never happened to me, so why should I even pay attention to this subject? The thing is that it might not, happen to you as dramatic as the others, but I am pretty sure in some ways you have already, underwent some, some this kind of mixed, complicated feelings, and from research that held by um, conducted by BBC survey agency. They have done research on how do people feel about culture shock, and 90% of students study abroad, and usually in the United States, United Kingdom, and some other Western countries, reported that they have been somewhat influenced by culture shock in a certain degree, according to the survey. So while 90% is definitely a staggering number, and it definitely tells us at first place that this is very a common thing. It's very prevalent in every country, that when the new people, new immigrants, new students from different country comes in, it just like it's very common. And how we're gonna solve this problem is very, very important. So here there are actually various reasons that why people feel like culture shocked, and so here is a pie chart, and so we often refer to different country as system. So not really necessarily the political system, but like a system in general, mixed with all the culture, all the language, and all the stuff intangible. Here we have different gender roles, moral dilemmas, different social use of food, challenge to the senses, inability to communicate effectively. So here we see the two big chunk parts, 35%. They are stands for respectively the challenge to the senses and the moral dilemma. So basically, the idea here is that people have a difficult time to understand other people thinking the ideas, since there's a different thinking style, and also it's different. The emotions, expressions, sometimes can be confounding to one and another, and usually makes a lot of people frustrated about this. They couldn't communicate as effective as they would like to. So with all that being said, with those problems, here I need to you listen closely to this section particularly, because this is how you're gonna help you make through all those difficulties. Here, how do we make a smooth transition? There are 4 advices I'm giving you tonight, and hopefully one of them could be a really a change, a change in your uh, you know out abroad study a career. Here, so first do some prep work ahead of time. So what does it mean? Like, prep work. Sometimes you think, is that because I work in the kitchen? You have to cut all the stuff and wash, and that's not. It's a prep work. You have to do some researches. Especially going to a country to study, and so you want to particularly pay attention to the schools, the teaching styles. Ask your classmates around, how their teachers' teaching style like, and the student or what the school is, in general like the living style, lifestyle, all those, the entertaining, the clubs and the other stuff is very important. So you sort of have expectation on what are you gonna get, and what should you be aware of when you're on campus. So the second of all is keep yourself busy, or in other words, occupied all the time. It is extremely important because for the first few days you come to a new country and you feel suddenly, oh, I don't have a goal, or clearly in my life, and that sometimes it's very normal. People get lost when they're in a different environment. So that's the key why you need to sort of get yourself busy, such as signing up a cooking lessons, taking some language classes, especially if English, or the country you're going to, the language could be a barrier, so you should probably sign up for language classes, or even more, just go to do some outdoor activities. That's something that can distract you from all those sadness and those uncomfortableness you might have from the culture shock. And the third is that explore the new culture as much as you can, since you have never been to this this country before, or have a very little idea of. So it's so important for you to go outside and look around the surroundings, and just meeting new people, and it's just a great way to learn things, to be more confident, and be more successful in a new country. If you're studying, you will become more successful students. And the fourth, last but not least, here, make some foreign friends. And this is such a positive note that everyone should be aware of. Don't be shy. Don't be too sort of timorous in front of the others, because people in general are very easy and nice to talk to and talk with. So really just keep it open-minded, be open-minded, and start chatting with them. And I bet sooner or later you will find some people who share the same passion as you do, and same interest as you have. So, and I think you're gonna hit off pretty quick. So definitely make some foreign friends. Definitely gonna help. So here, the very last, I'm gonna share you some of my personal experience. Okay, so 2 years ago, the school I'm currently right now, Vermont Academy, it took a trip to down in South America, Belize, and for 2 weeks it was a community service based trip, and we all pledged we're gonna do something good, positive, make some good impact on this the local community. So then we took up the trip, and for 3 nights we lived in the Mayan village, and the difficulty as I encountered at that place was that really this electricity, the Wi-Fi and other things. I have never been living without for that much long time. 4 or 5 days. I know it's kind of shame, but I've been living in Beijing, all the big cities, for quite most of my life. So it was quite particularly difficult for me, but I sort of made through the difficulties by chatting, talking, communicating with my partner who comes from Korea, and his name Justin, and along the trip we sort of communicate with each other and share the thoughts, and I think a lot of problems were solved during the conversation. How we're gonna make ourselves more comfortable to live in it, such as how to make ourselves more comfortable living in different culture, enjoying the nature more than the technology, and those are just the things I've learned, and it's really helpful to keep up with. So here's a takeaway. It's never gonna be easy to study abroad. People thinking that, oh, is that just an escape, or is that just sort of excuse for not taking all those standardized tests here. But it's not true. I think when you're like studying abroad, you have so much things to worry about, concern about, not just about your academic, your the grades. It's just more about your whole person, how do you take care of yourself, how do you make good positive interactions with people, and how do you sort of become more successful as a leader in a place. So I think those are all very important, and I think based on all the 4 advices I've given out tonight, I think you would definitely be able to sort of find your own find your own little find your own little ways to get through all those not so hard difficulties, but it's gonna be a great lesson in your life. Thank you very much, and thanks for your time, and I appreciate all this. Have a good evening.